What's up, y'all? It's a stunning day by the ocean. I'm gonna turn this way so y'all can get this ocean while I talk to you this fine day. I've heard this multiple times from people I love, from black people I love with my whole heart, who are asked the question about, like, I don't understand how breaking windows and destroying property is gonna get us to equality. And I've heard that question lots of times, and I think that there is, I get the impetus to ask it, right? Like, I get how you might come to that kind of question. And here's my response to that, because I believe there's an answer, a very clear answer. In a system that values property more than your life, the only way to change that system is to disrupt its relationship to property. And so when you think about the kind of resources that the U.S. used to put forth during chattel slavery so the U.S. policing system came about, and you can do your research on this, came about through the function of slave patrols during chattel slavery. They hire people to capture enslaved Africans who ran away. You had to put that kind of resource behind it because black bodies were property, because we were capital back then, right? And so you had to protect your capital. Only you could do what you wanted to it. You could run it into the ground, you could kill it, you could throw it away, but in terms of protecting it from outside forces or protecting it from fleeing your control, the state and people went to great lengths to protect that. Black people are no longer legally, except under the prison codes. Besides under prison codes, black people are not legally allowed to be property, which makes them expendable in a different kind of way than we were expendable during chattel slavery. And so, in order to challenge a system that views your body as less important than its property, because you are no longer its property, so you're expendable. So in order to challenge a system that views you as less important than its property, the only way to do that is to actually disrupt its property. The question of whether or not it matters if we break business windows or if we burn down AutoZones or Targets is only a question that gets asked in the assumption that those buildings are more important than the people who are setting them afire. Because the people who are setting them afire are doing that because they're being murdered. So the only way you would ask such a question is to assume that the AutoZone is more important than the black body, right? Because as I posted today, if someone is killing you, there is no appropriate way. There's no inappropriate way to get them to stop. There isn't anything that you can do that would be inappropriate to get a person who is killing you to stop killing you. And so the reason, so oftentimes people will say, well, but, MLK protested peacefully, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the deal. Here's why this is different. We are at a different point in time. During the civil rights movement, what we were protesting were laws, very specifically laws related to where or not black people could put their bodies, whether or not black people could eat here or drink out of there or go there. Those were the dynamics under which we were protesting. So the act of disruption was to put your body someplace where they told you your body wasn't supposed to be. You didn't actually have to do anything more to disrupt that system than to defy it and put your body where they told you your body was not supposed to be. In this system, the current iteration of this system, where the new law is that corporations, corporate entities, capitalism, the machinations of capitalism are worth protecting beyond black life. And so the way that you disrupt a system that says that the mechanisms and machinations of capitalism are more important to protect than black life is to disrupt those things that they view more important than black life. Right? So what they used to view more important than black life was the sanctity of sitting at a lunch counter by themselves without us, or the ability to not have to share a water fountain or a swimming pool. And so the wildly disruptive thing that you could do that didn't require you to do anything except just show up and put your body there was to go and peacefully put your body in the places where they told you not to. Right? But be clear, during that time, they also saw that as violence. White people saw that as violence. White people saw putting your body, they didn't call Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. peaceful when he was protesting. They called him violent. They called him an agitator. And were fined with the destruction of his body for disrupting their system. The system today is a system of property and capital. And are fine with seeing you die in order to protect that. So yes, the most powerful and potent thing that we can do to continue to bring aggressive attention to the fact that this system is actively killing black people is to disrupt that which is most precious to the system. And what's most precious to this system are the machinations and material forms of capitalism, which are businesses, corporate entities, the things that make money. You know, and so to the people who are like, well, but you're destroying things in your community. Black people don't own the AutoZone. They don't own the Target. They don't own the Starbucks. And even if they own the franchise, they don't own the corporation. And so that's a question of whether or not, you know, that is another way in which capitalism controls the worker mindset, right? It's like, oh, but you work there. Fuck that job. In the middle of a revolution, and I don't say that willy-nilly, but what I do say is that if you are beholden to an entity that is only interested in seeing you alive in so much as you can produce to make it profit, it will kill you. You are expendable because someone else will do it. And so yes, the level of disruption that you see in cities across America right now are necessary. As long as capitalism is more important than black bodies will need to disrupt capital. As long as capitalism is more important than the lives and livelihood of black people, then capitalism will need to be disrupted. And sometimes that looks like breaking windows or setting fire. And that also, while acknowledging that we know that a lot of this is white supremacist agitation, or, you know, like, yeah, white supremacist agitation, police agitation, all of those things. But guess what? What I'm offering is that whoever is doing it, right, the level of disruption that exists is an appropriate level of disruption, and there is no inappropriate level of disruption to intervene in someone trying to murder you. So as long as the United States is committed to murdering black people, then there is no inappropriate response to stopping that from happening.